Alright guys, welcome to this page of the notes. What we're going to do here now is we're going to use those trig functions, those trig ratios we just learned, sine and cosine, to help us solve some problems. So here's what we've got. I tell you that you have a 12-foot ramp. It's installed alongside some steps, right, to provide wheelchair access to a library. The ramp makes an angle of 11 degrees, there it is, angle of 11 degrees with the ground. I want you to find each dimension to the nearest tenth of a foot. Which dimensions? Well, this one right here. I want to know, right, how high does that ramp need to get you, right? What is the height of this wall? And then, how far out from the building does the ramp extend, right? So we're going to find x and y. Find x and y. Okay, well here we go. First, we need to figure out which trig function is going to help me. So I will real quick here write ourselves a little note. Remember that sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. And tangent is opposite over adjacent. Okay, now, why do I make myself these little notes? Well, here's the reason why, right? Based on the information I'm given, I need to figure out which one of these is going to help me solve for what I want to find. Oh, here we go. I want you to find the height x of the wall. We want to find x. Well, let's go ahead and label our triangle. This is my right triangle. I've been given this angle A down here, right? I know angle A. It's 11 degrees. So now what does that make each of the sides? Well, if this is the angle, that means that x, the height of the wall, is the opposite side. So this is opposite. And that's what I'm solving for, right? They want me to find the height of the wall, which is the opposite side. So right away, I know cosine will not work. Why? There's no opposite in there, right? All I have is adjacent hypotenuse and the cosine of the angle. I need the opposite side. Cosine isn't going to work. I am now left with opposite sine and opposite tangent. So I'm either going to go with sine or tangent. How do I know which one? Well, let's keep going. Y would be the adjacent side, but I don't know the value of y. 12 would be the hypotenuse. So there we go. Based on the fact I'm trying to find the opposite side, I need the opposite side, that's what I'm looking for, and they gave me the hypotenuse, which trig function is the only one that's going to work? Yeah, the one that is opposite over hypotenuse. I must do sine. So, the sine of angle A is equal to the opposite over the hypotenuse. Guys, plug and chug, don't fat finger something on your calculator, and you've got it. So we will have the sine of 11 degrees is equal to the opposite side, I don't know, divided by the hypotenuse, which is 12. Multiply the 12 to both sides, times 12, times 12, and I get that x is equal to 12 times the sine of 11 degrees. Again, plug that into your calculator. Don't fat finger something on your calculator. Again, with these calculators, every calculator is going to have a sine, cosine, and tangent button on it. Where it's at on your calculator depends on the calculator. And so all we'll simply have to do is, I'll do 12. So we just plug in 12. And then I just need to do sine. Let's see, there's my sine. Sine of 11 degrees, put in 11. You'll probably have to close parentheses. Most calculators will have parentheses on them. Hit enter. And I get 2 points. Now remember, they want me to round to the nearest tenth of a foot. So it'll be 2.3 feet. What is the height of the wall? 2.3 feet. Now, again, I needed to use a trig function in order to determine the ratio, right? What is the ratio of the height of the wall versus the hypotenuse? And I needed to use sine, and that's why I just wrote these out. Based on the information given, pick the trig function that'll solve the problem for you. Okay, so now, same question, right? Exact same question, still the ramp, but now I want to know distance y. How far out from the wall does that ramp come? Okay, they gave me this angle, 11, right? What is the information I'm looking for? I want to find the adjacent side, adjacent. So, which one right away is eliminated? Now sine is out. Well, I can't use sine. Why? Because it doesn't have adjacent in it. So now I'm down to cosine and tangent. Both of them have adjacent in them. Okay, which one do I want to use? Well, this is now interesting and a really great point sort of when it comes to solving math problems, not only in geometry, but in any problem or in any math course that you may take. We want to avoid using numbers that you calculated, right? Here's the reason why. Let's just say I happen to have made a mistake. Maybe I fat finger at putting it into my calculator and I get an answer, but what if that answer is not right? If I then use this answer, the number that I found to do the next problem, but this number's wrong, what happens to this problem? Absolutely, I'm going to get it wrong. If this number was wrong and I use it to find this answer, neither of them are going to be right. So what we want to do is try as much as possible to use numbers that we were given, right? Things that you're told in the problem, because there's no way that you screw those up. So absolutely, I could do opposite, the number I found, opposite over adjacent, and we'll use the tangent function. But in that case, I would be using a number I found. And if I mess this up, I'm going to mess this one up as well, because that number's wrong. So instead, we will use the hypotenuse, because that was given to me. I didn't figure out 12, I was told it's 12, which means adjacent, hypotenuse, I'm using cosine. So we will find the cosine of angle A is the adjacent, that's what I'm looking for, over the hypotenuse. And so here we go. It will be, oh, sorry, not sine, we're doing cosine. It will be the cosine of 11 degrees is equal to, the adjacent side is y, over 12. Once again, multiply both sides by 12. The 12s cancel each other out, and I am left with y is equal to 12 times the cosine of 11 degrees. Again, the reason I used cosine is even if I made a mistake and somehow got the wrong answer here, I can still get this one right because I'm only using information given to me in the problem. As opposed to if I had used tangent, if I had done tangent, I would have needed to use the opposite side to solve the problem, and the opposite side was a number I calculated. If I calculate this number wrong, then I'm going to get this one wrong as well. Okay, so I do that in my calculator, and I get round to the nearest foot, and we get 11.8 feet. So, how far out from the building does the ramp come? It comes out 11.8 feet. Okay, let's keep going. I got another problem here for you. We'll practice this a little bit more. Let's suppose a new regulation states the maximum angle for a ramp, well, for wheelchairs, is 8 degrees. Right? In the problem above, it was 11 degrees. It was a lot steeper. Well, it was too steep. People were having trouble wheeling up the ramp, so they're going to make the ramp less steep. 8 degrees instead of 11. At least how long? How far out from the building must the new ramp be, right? Round to the nearest 1/10 of a foot. Well, the height of the steps hasn't changed any, right? 2.3, that was from up above, right? 2.3, I can't change how high the building is, right? How big the steps are. I can't change that. So because 8 degrees, what I have to do is I have to lengthen the ramp. I have to make the ramp longer. So that's what we want to find. We want to find Z. Okay, well here we go. Let's take a look at what we're given. I am given this angle, which is 8 degrees. I know the opposite side. I'm trying to find Z, the hypotenuse. Well, label that stuff. This is the opposite. This is the hypotenuse. Which trig function uses opposite and hypotenuse? Sine. So, the sine of angle A is equal to the opposite over the hypotenuse. Plug in what we know, solve for the one that we don't. sine of 8 degrees is equal, the opposite side, 2.3 feet, over the hypotenuse, which for us is z. I need to solve for z. We've seen this before. You'll need to multiply z over to this side to get it out of the denominator, get that z out of the denominator, you multiply it over here. But then in order to solve for z, I'd have to divide by sine of 8. So these guys just switch places, and I wind up with z is equal to 2.3 feet divided by the sine of 8 degrees. Again, don't fat finger something on your calculator. 2.3 feet divided by, and then sine of 8 degrees, which is on your calculator, and you're going to wind up with 16.4 feet. So what is the length of the ramp? Well, it would go from up above, right? The ramp was 12 feet long. Well, in order to meet the new regulation, I'm going to have to extend the length of the ramp out to 16.4 feet. Make the ramp a little shallower and easier for people to get up. All right, that's the way these problems are going to go. Look at the information you're given, and based on the information that's given, you will be able to determine which trig function is the one you need to help you solve for the variable they're asking you to find, for the side of the triangle that they want. Head on over to the next page of the notes. We'll try a couple of problems where you have to find the measure of the angle. I'll meet you there.